In the world of fighting, the skill gap between a high-level athlete and an average Joe is way higher than most people would like to admit. And for this video, we're going to take a look at some incredibly stupid dudes who bit off far more than they could chew. Here's what happens when professional fighters beat dumb fighters. To kick things off, we have a truly terrible pairing. Just one look at these two guys will tell you everything you need to know about which one of them is the true fighter. This out-of-shape wannabe couldn't land a punch on his more experienced counterpart, and when his opponent was finally finished toying with him, he turned up the heat in a huge way, landing cleanly on his chin for the finish. And when the impact came, it put this guy to sleep instantly. A vicious KO from a total mismatch. This macho idiot could not have picked a worse target for his aggression than he did on this infamous Fear Factor clip. During a heated exchange, one of the female contestants punched one of her male counterparts, causing Rogan to understandably get involved. The problem? Well, her boyfriend didn't appreciate Rogan's tone, and before anyone knew what was happening, he was getting right up in the legendary commentator's face. Unfortunately, this lifelong striker and BJJ black belt was able to totally big brother this moron, holding him steady in a plumb clinch, rendering him completely incapable of fighting back. And with that, a viral clip was born. This next one is yet another example of just how big a skill difference there can be in combat sports. This is a story of two vastly different fighters. The guy in the green gloves has some level of skill. The guy in the black, unfortunately, does not. And after toying with him for a moment and causing his punches to land on air, the green glove fighter takes over in a big way. He sat this guy down with little to no issue, and that was all she wrote. Jason Ellis is a man who spent more than a few years dedicating himself to the art of fighting. So when he allowed some random reporter to step into the ring with him for some light work, the results were as one-sided as you might expect. Ellis basically let the reporter do his best to hit him, and when he did manage to lightly graze him, he returned fire with a succession of body shots that got him out of there almost immediately. There are levels to boxing, folks. This next one is really bad, there's no other way to put it. And after making the mistake of throwing a leg kick that was easily checked, this dude was quickly taken down and subbed. But after making it clear that he wasn't done fighting, it took a rapid head kick to end his night once and for all. Was the guy too tough? Or too stupid for his own good? We'll let you be the judge of that one. It doesn't matter how many videos like this we make, people are still going to get some crazy ideas about their ability to hang with pro fighters. And in this case, taking on a Muay Thai specialist resulted in a truly one-sided beatdown. This guy got hit with leg kicks, teeps to the body, some punches, and a well-placed knee in the clinch that eventually had him doubled over in pain, unable to continue. Some people need a lesson like this, and we're sure he won't make the same mistake twice. Miesha Tate might not weigh too much above 150 pounds, but when it comes to mixed martial arts, her skill set would make her an absolute nightmare for the vast majority of people on this planet. And when she was tasked with trying to submit a bunch of totally untrained dudes for a YouTube feature, the results were just about as one-sided as you might expect. Tate, a credentialed black belt who actually won UFC gold with a rear naked choke, pretty much had her way with these absolute rookies. And if the stakes were higher, you'd imagine that the results could have been that much uglier. Charlie Zelenoff shot to internet fame on the back of some pretty disturbing fighter callouts that always ended with this clearly mentally unwell guy getting his ass handed to him. Charlie Z would come to gyms to spar guys, and then try to sucker punch them or do anything in his power to claim victory. In his own mind, he's undefeated, and has since become a meme for his efforts. One of the worst beatings he took came at the hands of Floyd Mayweather Sr., and if you thought he was beating him easily at first, just wait until Charlie tries to sucker punch him. A classic case of biting off more than you can chew. Having a light sparring session with someone like Justin Gaethje is one thing, but to openly dive headfirst into the fire with the highlight? Yeah, that takes some stones. And for this clip, this guy decided to throw some heat at the two-time UFC title challenger. And, well, Gaethje basically manhandled him for the rest of the session, showing little to no respect for anything coming back at him. Uriah Hall might be seen as one of the biggest disappointments of his era in terms of hype. But even if he didn't light the UFC on fire, he remains a truly excellent kicker. So when this sparring partner tried to land a kick of his own on the fearsome kickboxer, his punishment came in the form of a huge spinning back kick to the body that crushed his midsection. The lesson? Don't try to make a point of kicking a famously deadly kicker, because for as much as this guy landed well, Hall's was leagues ahead. More Charlie Zelenov comes in next, and if you thought taking on Floyd Mayweather Sr. was bad, how about inciting the fury of Deontay Wilder after publicly calling him out? Yeah, this guy has some serious issues. Wilder battered this totally unprepared and outsized rookie boxer with a level of aggression that makes for an almost difficult watch. And remember, this is no normal puncher. Deontay Wilder has the power to take your soul with those shots. This next one is a true example of just how far a little skill can take you in the face of an opponent who is very, very reckless. Despite being the taller man, this guy was left swiping at air most of the time, as his smaller, more skilled foe ducked and weaved his way out of danger. In the end, stamina seemed to cost the bigger man, and eventually he was forced to eat some real humble pie in the form of several unanswered shots that seemed to stagger him briefly. You know you're out of your depth when your opponent puts his hands by his sides and literally beckons on you to hit him. Sure, the bigger man looked like an athlete, but he was pretty much embarrassed by this guy for every second that this sparring session was on the feet. And when it eventually hit the mat, things went from bad to worse. A swift armbar was applied, and overall, we have to assume that a lesson was learned. Boxing is such a specific and singular form of fighting that any shortcomings in your game can be exposed very quickly if you find yourself in a situation like this unfortunate fighter. After challenging the coach of a gym to a session, he learned that having a semi-decent jab wasn't going to be enough to get him through this round. No, his opponent basically landed at will on him, scoring hit after hit and eventually dropping him on multiple occasions. He then proceeded to stagger him so badly that it knocked him out of the ring entirely. Maybe you should take a hint on that one, buddy. Next, we move to even more cocky wannabes who think they can hang in a boxing gym. It doesn't matter how good you think you are, when you get in there with someone who actually knows what they're doing, the levels between you are liable to become clearer and clearer with every passing blow. And for this guy, he was lucky to have gotten a trainer in the white who didn't immediately decide to take his head clean off. No, he got a merciful opponent who thought about teaching him a lesson, but in the end, decided to let him keep his brain cells. Not that he had too many to begin with. Just because you have youth on your side, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to manhandle any older fighter that you find yourself in the ring with. And in this case, this cocky younger dude seemed to think that he had the upper hand over this veteran, and upon challenging him to a spar, he proceeded to turn up the heat. Unfortunately, his opponent was more than capable of dealing with his adversary's pressure, and after weathering his early storm, he turned the tables on him, putting together combos that totally caught his target off guard. All of a sudden, it was a survival mission that, let's be real, could have been avoided. Challenge a regular fighter in a gym. That's fine. But if you try to take out the owner, you're going to put yourself in line for a major whooping if you're not up to the task. And in this case, this dude came in there dressed in a leather jacket and somehow believed that he was capable of taking out a highly experienced fighter with his very minimal talents. Yeah, this one was a total wash. The gym owner basically played with his food before eating it, ducking punches with no worries over his opponent's danger levels and landing counters at will. Easy work. Muay Thai fighters are an absolute nightmare to deal with if you don't understand the basics or even advanced kicking defense. In this case, this total genius decided he would try to bull rush this Thai boxer and use up all his stamina at once, trying to get the KO. Well, obviously, it didn't work out well for him, and when he eventually got tired, his total lack of defense fundamentals became very, very clear. And boy, did his opponent take advantage. Want to know how some random drunk idiot does in a fight against a pro Thai fighter? Well, you come to the right place. This guy allowed this overly confident guy to test whatever little skills he actually had against a guy who was literally capable of killing him. And when the time to fight came, the difference in skill could not have been greater. This guy was embarrassed so badly for every second he spent in there with his opponent. In fact, it got so rough for him that he actually tried to escape the ring. But even then, his opponent wouldn't let him out of there without some more punishment. A nasty lesson in humility for sure.